Welcome to Big Ramatha's Adventure. Today is day 16 of our Alaska road trip. What else is today? I don't even know. Justin knew.
It's Father's Day.
Oh. Well, you see, I don't keep track of the days. Holidays.
It is June 16th. It is Father's Day today. We are leaving the Tok River Recreation Site. The highway actually ended up being as bad as we thought, or being right next to it didn't end up being as bad as we thought. It was pretty quiet at night.
Yeah.
Sun rose at 3:19 a.m. You took a picture about 1 in the morning, and it wasn't even really fully dark out at that time. So even though the sun had set, it was still fairly light out.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't need any flashlight or anything to get to the restroom, huh? Nope. By the time I got up and checked our solar, it had already been light out for 3 hours, and we had enough to recharge the battery, and we're producing enough electricity to power everything that we were running in the trailer, both the fans, and I think a couple of us still had our phones plugged in. My CPAP wasn't running anymore, but it was still plugged in, using a little bit of power. The fridge, we had all the lights on, and we were producing more power than we were using at that point. So the solar is working out great. Where are we heading today? Denali. We are headed finally to Denali National Park. We will arrive there. Currently says about 2:30, not including stops. We are planning to stop at the visitor center in Delta Junction because I think they might have a sticker or a certificate or something that says that we completed the Alaska Highway, all, 1,400 and some miles?
Yeah.
Of the Alaska Highway, and then some getting there. It'll be a little extra distance getting there. We've actually driven close to, well, let's check it out here. So we are at 3,895 miles driven this trip. Most of that pulling the adventure. Some of it was side trips, seeing stuff around Banff and Jasper and other places with the trailer disconnected, but most of that was there. And we've had the truck running, so that includes a little bit of idle time in there as well, for 86 hours. So a lot of that is drive time, a little bit of it is idle time, most of it's drive time. 86 hours that we've been on the road total this trip. But we're getting a slightly later start than I hoped for this morning, but that's all right. We're still getting there. Actually, I don't think we can check into the campground until 3, so with stops, we should be timing this perfect. It is a beautiful sunny day. Truck is already reading 72 degrees, and it's not even 9 a.m. And we could see the Alaska range fairly well this morning. A little bit of haze around the horizon, so not perfect visibility, but much better than it has been the past few days. Let's get on the road. We have made it to the end of the Alaska Highway. We got our official certificate. We have gone through all 1,422 miles from Dawson Creek, British Columbia to Delta Junction, Alaska. The monument for the end of the highway here is out for repairs right now, so we weren't able to get any picture of that.
I did
They had a little sign there about it.
I did get a picture of that.
Awesome. So now we're going to be continuing on the Richardson Highway through Fairbanks and then catching the Parks Highway down into Denali. We got just under 4 hours left. Shows we're arriving a little after 3 p.m. But we need to grab some gas while we're stopped here in Delta Junction. What do you guys think of the end of the highway? Very nice.
There's mosquitoes.
Yeah, there's giant mosquitoes here at the visitor center. It was kind of cool. The drive leaving Tok was beautiful. You could see the Alaska range. It's a very nice, clear day. But then for most of the drive up to this point, we're kind of can't really see the mountains. They're off to the driver's side, off to my left. But the trees are blocking the view. Every once in a while, there'd be a gap in the trees and you could see them. And they look amazing, but we'll get a closer look as we get closer to the park. So let's get back on the road. We are now in North Pole, Alaska at the Santa Claus House. What did you guys think of the Santa Claus House?
There's so much stuff in there.
That was too much Christmas for me.
Too much Christmas for you? They say it was...
There was a Halloween quarter.
We got a few souvenirs.
Yeah.
And now it's already 1:34. We're hungry.
Yeah.
Gonna try and grab some lunch. There was Wendy's down the street from Santa Claus House here, so I think we're gonna run in there and then get back on the road so we can get to Denali. Just pulled over at a rest stop on the Parks Highway. We're about 33 miles from the entrance to Denali National Park. I had to transfer some fuel from the transfer tank into the truck because last gas station that we thought we were going to be able to fill up at, pumps were out of order and it said cash only, and I didn't want to use cash. Don't have enough to really fill up the truck, or probably have enough, but it would use most of it. And I'd rather hang on to that for when we really need it rather than when we can transfer some fuel out. So we were getting down on empty, had the warning, had maybe 30 miles until empty, so thought I'd be cutting it too close to keep going on to Healy as the next town, maybe, and I think it's 25 miles away, maybe still. So yeah, you guys ready to get back on the road? We're almost there. It's starting to get a little bit cloudy down here, so unfortunately it took way too long for lunch back in North Pole, so I'm not getting here as early as I had hoped, but hopefully some of these clouds part. We still have lots of daylight left. It's not going to get dark again until almost midnight tonight, and same thing like last night, it won't really get completely dark. Yeah. So let's get back on the road. We're at the end of day 16 of our Alaska road trip. Maybe you're wondering, why are we sitting here in the dark with a bunch of flashlights on? Well, even though the sun is not down yet. The sun is not down for another about hour and a half, hour 45, I believe. It's almost 11 o'clock at night. It's very overcast outside, and we're in some shade. And we did something really dumb. We had a very bad day today. We got here a lot later than we expected. We had a bit of a fiasco with our campground reservations. We made the reservations the second that they opened up back on December 1st of 2023. Had to do it over the phone because their website wasn't working. And the site that they gave me was at the Savage River Campground. I requested that campground. But they gave us a B site or B site. And those sites have a maximum length of 30 feet. Now, the adventure here is only 29 feet and 3 inches. So, in theory, it should have fit no problem. The reality is, there's no way it was fitting up there. When we checked in, I had thought that we were getting a site assigned at check-in because that's what they told me over the phone back in December when I made the reservation. I said, hey, what's my site number? They said, oh, you'll get that when you check in. That is not how it works here in Denali National Park. Both campgrounds, if you make a reservation, and you have to make a reservation, it is first come, first serve at time of check-in. You get to pick any available site. They just do not allow anybody to show up and get a campsite if they didn't reserve ahead of time, unless they happen to have availability, which they do not. Everything is completely booked and sold out. So we get in. It's another 20 minutes past where the registration is to get up to Savage River, and we find out that it's extremely narrow up there. The camper is brushing up against trees as we're driving around the loop. There are only 3 sites available, and one of them looked questionable at best that we could fit into. The campground host suggested that one after telling us that we were too big and we're never going to fit. But she said, okay, try this one. This is like your only hope. We tried. It just wasn't happening. There was not enough room to maneuver the trailer in there. I think it would have just barely fit lengthwise after disconnecting the truck. But the campground loop being as narrow as it was, there is no way to get it fully in there without running the truck into a tree. I already went off of the campground loop slightly and came about that close to hitting a tree. And we tried for probably 20 minutes. It just wasn't happening. So the campground host sent a message down to registration, pull them, give us a refund. We did try to get somebody else to move. They wouldn't. There was a very small Class C motorhome into a large site there that was completely unnecessary for the size of their vehicle. They were occupying maybe half the length and a third of the width. And they could have easily fit in any other site there. Why they needed to be jerks and take up a site that was much larger than what they required for their vehicle. And it's not like they had a bunch of extra stuff set up. They had nothing outside of their motorhome. No tents, no awnings, no chairs or anything out there. They were all contained within that motorhome, and they just refused to swap sites with us. They said, oh, we're already got leveled. Well, it didn't look like they had to do much for that. It was a fairly level site that they were sitting in, and that takes like 2 minutes most of the time. I mean, it barely takes us any time at all to level the trailer. And they were cooking dinner. I'm like, oh, wow, thanks for being considerate and taking up a huge site when, somebody else may have needed it. Anyway, long story short, we couldn't get in over there, so we had to come back down here. We came down and asked for a refund or asked if they could switch us to another campground. They were able to switch us to the other campground in the park here. There's 3, but the third one is past Savage River and has a minimum stay, and you may not leave that once you are there unless you get on a shuttle bus. and they didn't want to do that. And I don't think they had any availability up there anyways. They were able to get us into the Riley Creek Campground, which is down near the entrance, even though it showed completely booked. It was kind of later in the evening by the time we got all this stuff sorted out. So we got here around 5:30 p.m. When we get into the site until about 8 p.m., they said that we might have to move because the campground host can only authorize one night stay overbooking. And because it was late in the evening and nobody had showed up yet, they said, you can take this site. Well, the folks at the registration got everything sorted out for us, and were able to switch our reservation over to this campground and get us this site for our entire stay. So we don't have to worry about moving. So things worked out, but it was just kind of a bad day. But once we got settled in here, we did the dumb thing and ran the microwave, which may not have been a problem if it was the middle of the day and we had full sun and we were getting, most of our 1,200 watts of solar on the roof, plus the battery. The microwave is a 900 watt microwave. And when it is dark because it's overcast and raining, not getting any solar at all, the microwave will run for exactly 7 minutes before it completely drains the battery. So that's why we're in the dark and sitting with flashlights right now. And it's way too late. They're only allowed generators between certain hours, and is well past those hours. So we have no way to recharge the battery right now. We're hoping that it clears up. And maybe by the time we wake up in the morning, with sunrise being at 3:19 a.m., could be quite possible that we have a situation like we did last night, where we woke up fully charged and producing more power than we were using. Hoping that something like that will happen tonight. If not, we'll try and run the generator. You have no idea if the generator even works anymore, because it took a beating on the Alaska Highway. All right, when we arrived at our last campground on day 15, you watched that video. The strap had come loose enough for the generator to tip over and spilled fuel everywhere. We picked it back up and put it in here. When we got here, there was a little bit of liquid on the floor. I think it might have been oil this time. So the generator may not be operational. And we're probably relying completely on solar, which wouldn't have been a problem if we didn't make the mistake of running the microwave and draining the packet. It just was too tired and focused on the situation with the mess up with the campsites that I didn't think about. Maybe that was not a great idea to try and run it at that point in time. So mistakes were made, but learn, move on. What do they need to do?
You guys should like and subscribe.
Make sure you do what he said. We got a lot more coming up. What are we doing tomorrow?
Okay.
Plane tour. We're going on a tour with Denali Air, hoping the weather is going to be good for that, so we don't have to reschedule that. Looks like it's supposed to be good tomorrow morning. Might be some thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. Fingers crossed the weather holds out for us. I know Rayleen's very excited for it. She's possibly going to get to ride in the co-pilot seat. We'll see, so fingers crossed for that. Plus, we got a lot more coming up. We're at Denali National Park through Thursday, the 20th, so up until day 20. And then we're going to be heading back towards home with a few other stops. So if you do what my son said, you'll be able to follow along with the rest of our adventures here. Thanks again for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one.